already done. Too easy.
Hello, Rim619 here. I've just finished my Op Unfair run, and yeah, it was a very interesting run. The gameplay is a little bit different. You actually have to engage with the game mechanics. How I ended up with my end gear is a little bit different than how I played with my main gear, but you get some items, obviously, at the end of the game, which are quite powerful, so I'd ended up equipping them. So I had been using the Apex Predator gloves, but I ended up swapping over. So obviously that gives us critical damage when we kill high level enemies, and obviously temporary wounds. But one of the things you get in the end game is inevitable demise, so I ended up popping that on there. I did have the Eldari Ranger sight, which I'm not sure if is even working, because I did a Deadeye shot and it didn't seem to trigger exposed weakness, so that might be something I'll end up reporting to the devs. Other useful items obviously beat the concentration if you go into later rounds, but I found that I didn't get much mileage out of that. I did keep the hypnotizing pendant to keep slowed on enemies, but the litany of exhaustion I was using on Pascal, but for the final battle I swapped it over to my sniper because of the Cruciatum Litany, or Litany, should I say. So you get 10% damage for each negative effect, and obviously with self-calibrating gloves, with all your buffs and debuffs, you end up doing a lot of damage. I think the highest single target shot I did was over 3,700 with this. But again, it all comes from all of the stuff stacking on, and you get a lot of arm penetration. Obviously, you get additional damage on the Gloom Rifle, which is an Act 5 rifle based on 3 times the target's deflection, so the higher the deflection, the better. There's also, you get 30% of current momentum extra damage on the long lesson, so because you have up to 200% on that. So, yeah, you can get an extra 60 damage. So they're both quite powerful, but you won't really see them for the majority of the game. I was actually using mostly Stupor, Deadly Repeater. Sometimes I'd put on the double-barreled shotgun because the intelligence bonus gave a lot of area damage, and of course the Ritobi pattern sniper rifles. Armor that I'd ended up using was the Headhunter like Carapace, but you do get some other stuff that you can use throughout the game, but that was the one that I ended up using mostly because of the light armor. I liked having the extra armor on there. If you wanted more agility, again, you could use like the Death World Origin one, but I found the agility wasn't all that important because all it was really doing was increasing our turn order. But if you don't need to dodge, it can get a little bit of dodge reduction for melee, but it doesn't quite work for snipers that way, but it can improve your initiative. Self-calibrating goggles is quite useful. I had the helm over on Pascal, but for the majority of the game I was using the Analyst helmet, and I was also using the Target Designator, which I just moved over to Pascal for this fight. But yeah, whenever they hits with enemy with Deadeye shot, it reduces the enemy's deflection by 1 and applies 1 exploit. So yeah, Deadeye shots basically lower the deflection and increase their exploits for that. But yeah, so that's how I'd end up doing that. But basically the way that the sniper gameplay works is you hang back, you put on exploits, use tactical advantage, you expose weakness, and you start shooting. So you armor strip, you apply a lot of stats debuffs, and it does quite a lot in all honesty. Not as enjoyable for me as melee, but other people will actually prefer this playstyle, so each their own. I actually did a full icon class run on this one, so being able to give out the extra heroic actions, that was quite useful. But if we actually look into the build itself, so this is going to be very similar to my Pascal build that I did. Some of the things that change a little bit was obviously we get to be able to do the first few levels, so I pick up Medicate early, so I just have that. I get Uncanny Sight early, because we're using the Fortress world, so I go into Never Stop Shooting. Stuff like Familiar Kitback I get fairly early on. Passive learning, same as usual, just so I can spread out those exploits. I still take Tactical Knowledge early because it's just very, very useful. I find with this one you don't need precise attack because you're just going to be hitting anyway. So precise attack is something that I use later. So joint analysis is quite useful. Having multiple operatives, yeah, they're a swarm class. The more of them you have, just the better you do. Get comprehensive analysis early, killing plan. So the bonus damage of surefire plans increased by 8%. So we're doing extra damage on that. I got dismantling force, same as Pascal. I was taking awareness and or Xenos just because that's what I needed on this character. We got Tide of Excellence, but one of the things that we definitely get that we don't normally get on the Pascal build is Sharpshooter. So enemies that are further away, we deal more intelligence-based damage and we get more ballistic skill. Yeah, it's just very useful to actually get your damage up for this. I also pick up Grenadier earlier on, so I can get some more debuffs and apply effects there. And lastly, Dismantling 2. You're going to be hanging back and shooting, and that doesn't really change. But when you go into Bounty Hunter, I found this better than Assassin. Claim the bounty with buffs ends up doing more than 100% of your normal shot damage, so it actually becomes your main damage source. Marking out praise to get additional critical damage, also quite useful, and again the bonuses that we get from that is also very helpful. Then I get saved the kill early for those extra turns, which we can then later use with Hot on the Trail, which I get earlier than usual on this build, so we can get additional turns, so we can start firing out a lot of rounds. I'll put in some of some highlights later, but if you've seen any of my videos where I'd shown some of this early off, I was getting a lot of extra attack, especially on Janus. I think I ended up taking 9 shots in like the first round. But important things to pick up here: Trail and Shatter. Expert Finesse, you do see POC quite a bit more on this build because obviously the range advantage. We still go with the usual Inspiring Trophy. Cold the Bold, obviously very, very good for ignoring deflection and armor stripping, combined with some other stuff as well. But yeah, no, Flay the Bold, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and again, we have to get Hunter's Ambush early because, yeah, we can't get that later. So, with the different, like, stuns and mobilizations, you will see that more. And we also pick up Contingency Plan early on, so I was burning through a lot of surefire plans, so that was quite helpful to have that. Spare Magazine, we pick up in the early levels as well. I did that in the early thing because, yeah, reloading Sniper Rifle sucks. Going into Exemplar, one of the key things to note, we get Eager for Battle early. We pick up Improved Tactics first because you want that for the damage boost. We get Heightened Concentration, so again, more armor penetration. We ignore a lot of armor. Get Precise Attack. It's one of those things that it's still that big debate. Do you want that instead of Joint Analysis, or do you want Joint Analysis later? It's really up to you which you're going to pick and where. What is important to get on this one is Degraded Defense and start increasing our damage as we go on and go forth, because obviously the more damage we do, the more damage we do. Hunting Surge, increase, enemies killed by a critical hit score, bounty hunter or their ally. The bounty hunter gains extra damage to that. So as you're picking stuff off, you're going to get some damage increases. The upgrade to Insight Precision, we get bonus to Perception, so we boost some stuff there. Setting up many traps during your bonus turns is also useful to stop enemies from being able to charge over to you. It's very good for showing that down. Death Dealer does seem to be working, but it doesn't pop off as much as I would like, but it is quite helpful to have. It just increases our attack economy, more Tide of Excellence and whatnot. Fresh Target will help you deal damage to people that have full health, but we take this late because it's going to be not often that we're being the primary damage source here. We're picking up stuff like Pierce the Armor from Bounty Hunter, which is obviously very useful for getting through all of that. On this one, we also get Know-It-All, Guidance, other little things like that, which, again, it helps with armor penetration and helping allies get armor penetration. Another one is ballistic calculations. When enemies are far further away, set themselves with more, we get more damage. So you do need to be hanging back quite a bit. Obviously, perfect shot we pick up on this one as well. So whilst we're in cover, we can also boost our perception and our ballistic skill. It also improves our cover efficiency, but it kind of helps with that sort of stuff. Pinpoint accuracy, we obviously ignore some of our enemies' deflection, and perfect shot, we get even more armor penetration. You will do okay damage. It's nothing to write home about. It doesn't do the same as what you'll be expecting to see on the average melee build, but it's not too bad. Like I said, I didn't dislike it. One of the things you do notice, there aren't many cloaks that are designed for ranged characters, so you do kind of have to think what you want to use and when you want to use it. But overall, it's a very enjoyable playstyle. I'll throw in a little bit more of a compilation of showing some earlier battles. So normally I like to show everything from the start to the end, but yeah, no, there's not as much interest to edit in that much detail, but do definitely check out some of my update videos where I did show off some stuff if you want to see some full unedited battles. But thanks for stopping by. Build as usual, it's all in the spreadsheet and all that information. We've pretty much finished that now, and we've updated all the items, so it's just going to be waiting for 1.3 and seeing what they change. So yeah, just expect the companion builds, then it might go quiet for a little bit until we get the next update, but I do still have that live stream planned with the Noob Hires the Pro. But till next time, remember now, good boy.
Not a problem for me. Suits my nothing of that has been lost. Already done. Suits my what's your biggest mistake?
On it. Will do. Anything else? But of course. Will do.
Nothing I can't do. Suits my purposes.
Anything else? Was that you? Or
Nothing I can't do. Not a problem for me. Already done. All too
anything else?
Nothing I can't do. Not a problem for me. Already done. You didn't stand a chance. All too easy. Nothing I can't do.